what was God's will from beginning? Well, God's will, first of all, was to present Joseph to Pharaoh. God wanted to present Joseph to Pharaoh. And so we're going to see that will worked out. F.B. Meyer, one of the great commentators in the Old Testament scriptures, and who's written some tremendous character studies on the great people of the Bible, he describes in colorful words what happened as Joseph is presented to Pharaoh. It was a wonderful ascent, he wrote. Sheer single bound out of the dungeon to the steps of the throne. His father had rebuked him, and now Pharaoh, the greatest monarch of time, is about to welcome him. His brothers had despised him. Now the proudest priesthood of the world opens its ranks to receive him. Just one moment, prison. And the next moment, he's standing in front of the king. You may wonder what it means when it says here, before he went to see the king, he shaved. And some of you guys that have beards, maybe you think, that there's something spiritual there. Let me tell you what that's all about. In the Egyptian culture, beards were not allowed in the ruling classes. In fact, on all of the archaeological discoveries, the only time you see a person with a beard is if he's a prisoner, a pauper, in some kind of trouble. And so in order for him to stand before the king, he has to shave off his beard and be clean shaven and dress up. And Joseph's all cleaned up now, and he's ushered before the king. Because you see, from the very beginning, it was God's will to present Joseph to Pharaoh. Let me tell you something else about the will of God. It was God's will to predict Egypt's future through Joseph. It was God's will to do that. He had planned this all along. Joseph now stands before Pharaoh, and Pharaoh says, Joseph, can you tell me what's going on? What are these dreams all about? And Joseph says, let me just explain to you. It's real simple. You didn't have two dreams, you just had one. Just one. In fact, in verse 25 and in verse 32, he says it wasn't two dreams at all. It was just one dream doubled to him so that it would be very clear. Verse 25 said, Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. Verse 32, the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice because the thing is established by God and God's going to bring it to pass. The doubling of a dream in Egyptian culture meant not only was it important, it was doubly important, and it was going to happen quickly. And so first of all, Joseph says to Pharaoh, you didn't have two dreams, you just had one, and they mean the same thing, those two visions that you had. And here's what they mean. The 7 years of plenty that are coming are signified by the 7 fat cows and the 7 fat sheaves of corn. And following those 7 years of plenty, you're going to have 7 years of famine, which are signified by the 7 lean cows and the 7 lean sheaves of corn. Now, Pharaoh, let me tell you, what that means is this. In the next 7 years here in Egypt, we're going to have an abundant crop, and our agriculture and our cattle will flourish. But after those 7 years come, we're going to have a great famine. And in those years of famine, if we aren't careful, the years of famine will eat up everything that we saved in the years of prosperity. And now Pharaoh knows what the dream's all about. He understands the prediction, because you see, it was God's will not only to present Joseph to Pharaoh, it was God's will to predict the future through Joseph to Pharaoh. Now, here's the part that's kind of surprising. Number 3, it was God's will to propose a solution to the problem through Joseph. I marvel at this, because here's a man, he's just a few hours out of prison, just clean shaven, just got the smell of the dungeon off of him. He's standing in front of the most powerful man in the world. He's not supposed to do anything except answer the questions that are asked him. Joseph, what does the dream mean? It means this, this, and this. Now, you know, if it had been you or me, we would have been very quiet and been dismissed by the king and gone back to where we're supposed to be. Joseph doesn't stop. He gets done telling the king what's going to happen. Now he tells the king what to do about what's going to happen. And he proposes a solution. And the solution is in verses 33 to 36. When you first read it, maybe you think Joseph is canvassing for a job, but he's not. He has no idea that he'll be chosen to be this person he's describing. How would he have the audacity to believe that fresh out of prison he would be promoted in one day to Prime Minister of Egypt? Even his dreams wouldn't allow that. But he describes for Pharaoh what to do. He says, now look, Pharaoh, I want to tell you something. If we're going to survive this thing that's happening, here's what you got to do. Listen to this now, class. You have to double tithe your food and your cattle and all your produce for 7 years. I just like that word, double tithe. comes after single tithe. And he said, what you need to do is you need to take 20% of the crops and save them for 7 years. And then when the years of famine come, you'll have all that grain and all of that produce stored up, and you'll just sail right through it. It won't be a problem at all. And I'm sure Pharaoh's saying, yeah, that's a great idea, but who are we going to get to do that? I mean, how are we going to get all the Egyptians to give us 20% of what they raise? And we need to have somebody who's really a good administrator and who can go out and organize this country and get it done. And all of a sudden, as he's saying that, he looks right in front of him, and here's the only man in the kingdom who could help him interpret his dream. Here's the only man in the kingdom who can help him with his problem. Nobody else had been even close. And here's this man standing right in front of him, and he says, I got an idea. It's you.
How many of you know God always puts us in the right place at the right time for the right purpose? Joseph teaches us that. That's how he got to the kingdom. That's how he got out of prison to the palace, and ultimately to be the vice regent of the nation of Egypt, who ended up saving them during the time of the famine, and how he was reunited with his family. You follow this story and you notice that God is in charge in every space. In the good times, it's kind of easy to see his hand. But when you see the difficult things, why would Joseph be left in prison for 2 more years? God was up to something. And Joseph finds out, and in the process of reading the Bible, we find out, and it's pretty exciting. Well, thank you again for being with us during the month of August. We turn the calendar over on Monday to begin the month of September together. It's been wonderful to be with you and to teach this portion of God's Word, and I'm kind of excited that it's not over yet. We still got a whole month left to talk about Joseph. Don't forget now, this is your last day to order the book, Answers to Questions About Adversity. We've had a remarkable response to this book, and we want to make sure you get your copy. So be sure and ask for your copy of the book, Answers to Questions About Adversity, when you send your gift to Turning Point today. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
The message you just heard originated from Shadow Mountain Community Church and Senior Pastor Dr. David Jeremiah. Turning Point is also on radio and TV this weekend. To find out where in your area, visit our website, davidjeremiah.org/radio. That's davidjeremiah.org/radio. Or call 800-947-1993. Ask for a copy of David's helpful book, Answers to Questions About Adversity, yours for a gift of any amount. You can also purchase the Jeremiah Study Bible in the New International Version and in standard or large print in the New King James, filled with helpful notes and articles by Dr. Jeremiah.